Welcome to the show, my friends. We have been liberated. Yesterday was the great American Liberation Day in which Donald Trump imposed tariffs on the world, and we are now all winning. Yes. Wow. No, very much not what is going on. We will get in a moment to what is happening in American stock markets, but first we have to talk about what happened yesterday. Now, if you're trying to understand what is the economic justification for Donald Trump announcing and putting in place global tariffs, there is no economic justification. It's of critical importance that we understand these actions as political and as personal for Donald Trump, about ego and self-aggrandizement and seeming strong. But there is no economic justification. We will dig into that in more detail in a moment. Donald Trump telling us yesterday at this signing that he wants to take us back to 1789.
From 1789 to 1913, we were a tariff-backed nation, and the United States was proportionately the wealthiest it has ever been. So wealthy, in fact, that in the 1880s, they established a commission to decide what they were going to do with the vast sums of money they were collecting. We were collecting so much money so fast, we didn't know what to do with it. Isn't that a nice problem to have? What do you think, Marco? Good problem?
So there it is. He wants to take us back to 1789. I guess he wants to take stock market values back to 1929. But what we came to understand during this bizarre and rambling speech is that Donald Trump doesn't really have an economic justification for any of this. And economists recognize it. And increasingly, even Republican elected officials are recognizing it. Now, as part of the meandering, Trump also put forward a novel pronunciation of the gang Tren de Aragua. Here's how he said it.
Tren de Aragua.
Okay, we're not even going to focus on that because it's so secondary and tertiary to the economic destruction that is going on. Now, the key announcement was the tariffs. And at a certain point in this fiasco, Donald Trump held up a chart showing the 10 to 49% tariff rates that he will be placing on various countries' imports. It's not obvious exactly what formula was used to come up with this. It's not completely clear what the rationale is, but here is Trump, I guess, pulling the numbers on a piece of paper out of thin air.
But we will charge them approximately half of what they are and have been charging us. So
now Trump says this is the rationale, except it's not actually what's happening.
The tariffs will be not a full reciprocal. I could have done that, yes, but it would have been tough for a lot of countries who didn't want to do that. I'd like to see the chart if you have it. Could you bring it up, Howard? This is our great Secretary of Commerce, Howard Lutnick. Thanks, Howard.
And here he has the chart.
So if you look at that, China, first row, China, 67%. That's tariffs charged to the USA, including currency manipulation and trade barriers. So 67%, I think you can, for the most part, see it. Those with good eyes, with bad eyes. We didn't want to bring, it's very windy out here. We didn't want to bring out the big charts because it had no chance of standing. Fortunately, we came armed with a little smaller chart.
Anyway, so, nobody can read this crap. It's so small. It's a mess. Trump's confused. There also seem to be some issues where Trump believed Taiwan was charging 64%, but they were charging 6.4%. It's all a complete and total mess. Pointedly, Donald Trump also saying that effective at midnight last night, there would be a 25% tariff on all foreign-made automobiles.
That's why effective at midnight, we will impose a 25% tariff on all foreign-made automobiles.
Really strong orange announcement, and then also Donald Trump waxing poetic about that classic term, that beautiful nostalgic phrase, groceries.
Likewise, an old-fashioned term that we use, groceries. I used it in the campaign. It's such an old-fashioned term, but a beautiful term, groceries. It sort of says a bag with different things in it.
It's a bag with things in it.
Groceries went through the roof And I campaigned on that. I talked about the word groceries for a lot.
We talked about the etymology and where did this word actually come from, because a lot of people won't tell you it's English. This is a deranged, demented rant. And this is what happens when you try to justify the unjustifiable. Later, we'll look at Caroline Leavitt, the White House press secretary, attempt in a futile manner to defend this. Donald Trump is predicting that there will be complaints in the coming days, but the complaints will be from the globalists.
Beautiful. In the coming days, there will be complaints from the globalists and the outsourcers and special interests and the fake news. Fake news will always complain. But never forget, every prediction our opponents made about trade for the last 30 years has been proven totally wrong. They were wrong about NAFTA. They were wrong about China. They were wrong about the Trans-Pacific Partnership, which would have been a disaster if I didn't terminate it. If I didn't terminate that, United Auto Workers, you would have had no jobs in this country.
Right. And of course, there will be complaints, but the complaints are not going to be from globalists and media elites. They're going to be from American working families, small business owners, everyday Americans who already today are seeing their savings, their retirement accounts collapse. As usual, now almost a requirement of any Trump signing is that he gives his speech and he forgets that he does have to sign this stuff and he leaves. And then he is gently guided back. Oh, yeah, I have to sign this stuff. So here's Trump leaving. And then people are starting to say he didn't sign it. So he's turned around and now guided back onto the dais. And of course, some chuckling. Yes, just everybody forgetting, I guess, that he did have to sign that stuff, and then they guide him back, and he does ultimately sign it. This is a disaster for the American people. We have been talking long enough now, 6 months, 12 months, longer. Tariffs are a tool, and like any tool, it might be the right tool for the job, or it might not be the right tool for the job. If you're trying to eat soup, a powered drill is not a particularly useful tool. It doesn't mean the drill is bad, it's just not the right tool. And if what you're trying to do is stimulate small business, generate domestic GDP growth, which is what they said they want to do. Like some people might say, I don't care about that. Then you have different policies. But if that's what you want to do, placing an import tax on everything is not going to achieve that. And so our first signal as to what is going to happen as a result of this, the first signal is what's happening in the markets. And I want to talk about that right now. I am not exactly a wizard at building and fixing stuff around the house. I leave it to the pros. I recently moved and the blinds in my new home office looked like they were from 2005. The room needed a little updating. So I went to 3-Day Blinds, the leading manufacturer of high quality custom window treatments in the US. You don't need to leave home to shop for blinds. 3-Day Blinds has local, professionally trained design consultants with an average of more than 10 years of experience. They'll come to your home, they'll give you guidance, they'll tell you, here's what would work in this space. The quote is free with no obligation, and their expert team will then design, measure, and install everything. So you just sit back and relax. You don't have to do anything. I love the new window treatments that 3-Day Blinds got me for my office. It looks great. Schedule your free, no charge, no obligation consultation. You'll also get their buy one, get one 50% off deal on custom blinds, shades, shutters, and drapery when you go to 3dayblinds.com/Pacman. The link is in the description.